Hi, Sandra here from Create in Spain. There are lots of things that you can use to colour in stamped images. I am talking about doing watercolour stamped images, and they are very, very pretty when they're done. I have a variety of different watercolour pens here. Some have brush tips like the CREATEINSPAIN. That's a brush tip on there. Some have very fine tips, they're more for writing, like this from Pentel. And I also have some here which are Marabou, which is by Lidl, and they have brush tip on one end, although it's not a hairbrush by the way, and they have a bullet point on the other. So what is best for using for doing stamps? Well, largely it will depend on the size of the stamp that you want to colour in. If the majority of the stamps that you like to colour are this sort of size, i.e. no more than about 1 inch by 2 inches, then you might find that the nice looking watercolour brushes that you get for adults mainly are perhaps not exactly as useful as you thought they might be. That's because these images are so very tiny and the areas that you want to paint are so very tiny that trying to put colour into them and then pull it out with water is kind of difficult without flooding. It can be done, but it isn't the easiest thing to do. Because they are brush tips, it's a little more difficult to control. Here I have a bag of what we get over here in Spain is carioca. They are cheap, they do lots of different types. What you're looking for is a washable felt tip. Now some of these are double-ended, so they have a fine tip. I say fine, it's fine if you use the very tip, but it's good for colouring in with the sides. But they're 2-colour, so those are the duo version. This type, one that has a very fine tip on one side and then the chunky tip on the other. They are just designed to be used by kids. They are advertised as washable so that stains on clothes will come out in the wash and your hands will come clean when they're washed in soap and water. So if I put down some of this colour, which is more of a sort of petrol blue, I guess, like so, pale type blue, a C type blue. There we go, they blend, it's not a problem. They also blend out nicely with water. I'll put some colour out here and get a brush with some water in it. I've got a water brush here, and there we go. You can get your graduated wash without any difficulty whatsoever, and it works just fine. Now the advantage of this, if you choose this type, is that you have the ability to choose the chunky end if you want it, or you can use the very fine end and get into those detailed places. You can either overlay them directly, or you can use water and do the washes and do the blends with water if your stamp design is big enough to take it. So then all you want to have is a brush which is fine enough to get into the areas that you need. Now some of these are stiffer than others, some have got shorter hairs than others, and for getting into very small places, I suggest the shorter the hair the better. So is there any great point in buying something which is definitely more expensive that may not do what you want it to do if you're doing small stamped images? Doing the larger stuff, fine, go for the brush nibs, but I don't think the brush nibs are the best if you're doing very small things. I have an empty water brush. Now the reason it is empty is because the size of these things is very, very small, and I want even better water control. So although this will pick up relatively little water, if I were to have the water in here and it was flowing too fast, I could end up flooding this, and I really don't want that to happen. So I'm just going to use it like a normal brush, dip it in water, and I have a cloth to dry off any excess as well. there we have the finished item, all watercoloured in with cheap children's washable felt tip pens. I don't think that there are many people who would be able to tell the difference between that and something done by your expensive adult versions. So if you want to give that kind of stuff a go, I suggest you try raiding either your child's art box or get some for yourself. Thanks for watching. Take care now. Bye bye.